Hi, my friends. This is Adam Pecoraro from Flexoraro Fitness, and today we're going to be watching my wife Rebecca and our friend Kelly do an arm and leg workout. This is a workout that you can do at home. You need some dumbbells, and all of the leg activity is going to be predominantly body weight. I think we throw some dumbbells in there once or twice. So the point of this workout is hypertrophy. Now we want to focus on increasing the size of your muscle fibers, developing large muscles in areas that you work out the most. This might be places like your thighs, calves, biceps, or back, whatever. Hypertrophy focuses more on moderate weight and moderate repetitions. The weight just simply needs to be challenging. The way this works is we're going to do an arm exercise, and then our active rest is a leg exercise. The first arm exercise that we're going to be doing here is going to be a shoulder press, or what I like to call a deep swimmer press. You're going to work the large muscles in your upper body. Obviously, you're working your shoulders, but also your chest, your triceps, and your upper back trapezius area. Now, because being upright requires balance, you also recruit the muscles in your core, including your abs and your lower back. Now, in the upright position, you compensate for balance changes during each phase of the overhead press, and you create stability through the spine to ensure a proper foundation for a loaded overhead movement. Now, trying your best to keep your glutes tight will also help you to support your lower back should you start to fatigue as you go through the movement. Now, in addition to the power from your upper body, your lower body can help to assist when you push dumbbell weights or a weighted bar overhead. Now, the ladies complement this overhead press with body weight squats. Now, remember, when you do a squat, you go as deep as you feel you can control with the following details in mind. You want to keep your back in a neutral plane. So the way you would stand upright is the way your back has to be maintained. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have a little bit of an angle. Because you're going to have to hinge your hips, it forces your back to angle forward, but we never round it. You want to try to keep your chest up and your hips and butt back. You got to keep your knees back behind your toes. If you have any pain in your knees, turn your toes a little bit out and keep your weight in your heels. Try to balance between your right and your left leg equally. Drive up from your heels after every rep. A full range of motion squat is usually down to 90 degrees. But again, if you can't do that, either because of limited range of motion, strength, or you're starting to fatigue, simply make your squat more shallow. That way you can continue on and still get some benefit. Okay, so now we go back to our second set of the shoulder press. It's 2 sets of everything with the arms, but it's actually 4 sets of everything with the legs. Now, after we finish this here shoulder press, we go back to our squats. Okay, so now we move on to a shoulder fly. Our first 4 exercises are all for the shoulders. So this here is a lateral raise, and it works the shoulders as well as the trapezius muscles in your upper back, particularly the anterior and lateral heads, or the front and side of your shoulder. With the proper form, a lateral raise enhances muscle growth. Again, this is the process known as hypertrophy, and it'll also increase your range of motion with your shoulder. Now, that's important. What we want to have is functional ability. So you want to be able to move your arm in all different angles. So your shoulders, they can move up, out to the side, to the front, and they can take your arm back to the rear. And we want to make sure that we cover that in this workout. That way, if this workout is done consistently, not only do you have a great chance of developing bigger muscles and well-balanced strength, but also well-balanced range of functional motion. So with this lateral fly, we are still doing squats because we have to get to 4 sets. Go back to our second set of the lateral shoulder fly. And now this is our 4th set of squats. So the squats are going to be retired after this, and we're going to begin doing a reverse lunge. Okay, so our next arm exercise, still focusing on the shoulders, is a front shoulder raise. Now, it primarily strengthens the shoulder muscles, the deltoids, of course, but it also works the upper chest, your pectorals. This is an isolation exercise for shoulder flexion, and it can help you build strength and definition in the front and the sides of the shoulders. In daily life, you need strong shoulders to lift objects safely. Okay, so here we go with our first set of alternating reverse lunges. Now, Kelly here is adding in some dumbbells. Beck, I think, is just doing body weight. The idea is to get the overload over the 4 sets. So you would be fine to be able to rest your arms from dumbbells and then go back to using your dumbbells when we hit our next arm exercise. So on the alternating reverse lunge, your quadriceps are going to be getting the big benefit. You're also strengthening and stretching the quadriceps and the hip flexors. So it's great for leg mobility, and that's again one of the benefits here is that we don't just do squats, we try to cover different planes of motion. So we had the parallel posture, now we've got ourselves doing reverse lunging. Okay, so again, back to the front raise. It's an alternating motion. Simply try to finish on an even number. Imagine you had a magazine that you had under your arm, and as you lifted your weight, you didn't want that magazine to fall out. Back to reverse lunges. This is set 2 of 4. And DOG is monitoring Kelly, make sure she's doing it right. And there's DOG, sleeping in his bed, good boy. So last for the shoulders, we have a reverse shoulder fly, which targets the posterior or rear shoulders and major upper back muscles as well. What we're going to do though is a bent arm fly. So the rear delts and the trapezius are primarily working. Now the posture on a bent over anything is challenging until you know it, but it's what you would call a metabolic posture. So this means that we're maintaining a position without the aid of support from anything that's not a part of our body. So we're not working on a machine, we don't have a wall that we're attached to or a bench. This activates many muscles, not typically thought of being involved in like a rear delt exercise, like your legs, because you have to bend them and hinge the hips, so your glutes, and engage the cage, so your abdominals, and stabilize and brace your back, so your lower and middle back. So if you get really tired doing this exercise, it's because even though we're emphasizing your rear delts and the trapezius, your entire body is balancing and posturing so you can have correct form. Now we're still doing our reverse lunges. Okay, so now we have overhead tricep extensions, which focus specifically on the long head of the triceps. And the overhead tricep extension is going to activate your core, just like the previous exercises. And you need to engage your glutes. That way, your lower back muscles are stabilized during the movement. Be very careful if your arms start to fatigue, because you don't want to conk yourself on the head with that weight. Now, your weight should be something that's relatively challenging, because it's only a single weight, but you have to be able to move it safely behind the head to the overhead position and back. Okay, so now our legs change to alternating lateral lunges. And you want to start with a stance that's about double shoulder width. Your hips go back, you keep your knee behind your toe, same rules as doing any other squat or lunge, and you drive through your heel to come back to center. And you go as deep as you can control, even if it's just a little depth in the beginning. All of these exercises are great dynamic stretching as well. Back to the overhead triceps extension. Now this is again our third leg exercise and it's our third plane. So what I mean by that is it's not like we did squats and then we did deep prisoner squats and then we did jump squats and then we did a slow squat. It's not just the same plane of exercise, different exercise. So again, you can be well-rounded and balanced. Okay, so now we're using the cable. I'm going to do a tricep press down. Triceps, as you undoubtedly know, are located at the rear of the upper arm, but they have three components, hence the name tri in triceps. You got the long, the lateral, and the medial heads. If you want to build up your arms, working all three heads of your triceps is key, and the triceps pull down or push down does just that. It also benefits your overall strength and endurance by engaging your core, back, and shoulders. You can stand close or you can change the distance and the angle to get a little bit more back recruitment or take pressure off of your elbows. In Becca's case, she has a little bit of elbow discomfort, so we brought her back some as she does her exercise. And again, we go back to our alternating lateral lunges. Great for developing the inner and outer thigh muscles. And now we're on to triceps kickbacks. Now, while they mainly work your triceps, the move also strengthens the auxiliary muscles that help your hand extend. And this is again a bent over position, and the idea is to have 3 different planes to work the triceps. You have moving weight up overhead, you have moving weight down below your waist, and you have moving weight behind you to your rear. Again, the idea is to try to become balanced while we give our muscles this overload workout. Now, our last leg activity is the curtsy squat. And this is for agility and coordination. We cross behind for when we find ourselves in an unconventional position. Imagine going out hiking, stepping over anything. Your kid has a lot of toys on the ground. And sometimes it's also a part of getting up in a non-conventional fashion. You want to have trained yourself to be balanced. Plus, it's a good way to disguise repetitions on your posterior chain. You're close to doing a single leg squat in this position because one of your legs, whichever one is in front as you alternate, is carrying about 70 to 75% of your weight. So it's also a great way to change things up from a weight distribution standpoint. Okay, so now we hit the biceps. And the biceps are part of the forearm supination, elbow flexion, and the shoulders stabilization. So what's supination? It's an anatomical term of motion for the rotation of the forearm or your foot when you turn your palm or the sole of your foot so it faces upward of your body. It's supinated. It comes from the root word of supine. So you might hear someone say in a supine grip. It's the opposite of pronation. Now, elbow flexion. During elbow flexion, the forearm is moved towards the upper arm, rotating around the elbow joint center. Pronation and supination are performed by the radius and the ulna crossing over each other. More curtsy squats. So strong biceps help you to maintain a healthy upper body. But one of the things that especially guys seem to be guilty of is the want to have some really well-defined biceps because they think that that gives them a really well-defined arm. But you got to remember, you need to work everything. So shoulder, bicep, triceps. And that's the key. You've got to do things in a balanced way. This workout will do that for your arms. Curtsy squats again. And now we've got biceps on the cable machine. Now, why do them on the cable machine? It's not a different plane. We're still going from the ground up. It's because on the cable machine here, we're doing a hammer grip. So we have our hand in a different position. And that is the benefit that we're going for here. So 2 different planes with the bicep curls, maybe not what the arm motion is doing, from low to high, but what the hand position is doing. And that's the workout, gang. So if you do this workout at home, 1 time a week would probably be great. And if you can break that up with other types of workouts that you find here on our channel, I think it could do a lot for you. Remember, consistency is the key. It would make more sense to do 20 minutes of something a day and do that every day than to do 3 hours 1 time a week or 1 time every other week. You're just not going to get the same results. That can be discouraging. Consistency is key, and if you're consistent, chances are you'll see progress, and that is super motivating. Hey, do me a favor, click that like button, leave a comment. I'd be happy to respond to you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you later.